Hey guys. Hey. How is everybody? How's everybody today? Edie, January. You the only ones, SB? Who wants to read this book with me? Thanks for taking out the trash. Not Hey, listen, I got good news. A lot of you are from the other channel, right? So I just found out Bailey Sarian, who put up that bogus video about Gypsy Rose, has taken the fucking thing down. And she's doing a deep dive into Gypsy's latest shenanigans. So Gypsy is about to get exposed like she don't know how. There's like over 4 million subscribers on Bailey's channel. So isn't that great? Isn't that wonderful? We're here to talk about Britney because, we touched on that, didn't we, when we did the Monday morning talk about what's going on with Britney Spears and such. So let's just give it a few minutes for some people to get here. I did download the book. I'm going to read it with you. I'm a little cold still. Let me see what the temperature is. I'm going to shut the camera off if that's all right, because I'm going to have a book in my face. Well, at least my little Kindle. So hang with me, folks. Well, it's 74 degrees. I should not be chilly, but I feel a little bit chilly. I should take some zinc. Hello, Donnie. How's my little girl? Are you chilly? Say, I am not, Mama. I'm a good girl. You're the best little Danny in the whole wide world. All right. 21 people. I don't want you guys to wait. Oh, and Highlands. Highland girl, how you doing? I just saw you in somebody else's comments. It wasn't in the comments, it was in somebody's chat. It's so cool. I mean, listen, I just want to make it clear because you don't see the look on my face. I love to see you guys in chats, especially when I go into the chat and it's like, oh, look who's here. I love that. I am not a content creator that says only me. I am so vain, you see. What do you think of that? Fall is in the air. Yes, it is. I'm a little cold. I only go into the good chats. I see that. Chilly there. Leslie, where are you? Hi, Leslie. M. Cook, how you doing? You aren't Ryan? Pixie! No. Pixie Pix! Somebody sent me a picture of Ryan with the hair blowing. Excuse me. And it looks like he'll go bald soon, too, unless somebody fucked with that photo. I have to watch my language. I want to watch my language because, sometimes I'm having conversations with people and it's like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. So I want to watch my language. How cold is it in Scotland? So the joke is it's cold in Scotland. How cold is it? I'll tell you. I can tell on my phone how cold it is. Where in Scotland are you? Only you. You are my destiny. So yeah. Edie, can you let him go? You want to come on talk on our show on Mondays, Em? Yeah, I saw that. SB. I saw that. All right. You guys, are you interested in this book? Because do we want to know what this man has to say? We at least want to hear his side or what he considers his side, hang on. This is a newer Kindle, and I like the old one better. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Ryan has a comb over 100%. You know, I never knew that. Can you guys hear me okay? I just want to make sure you could hear me because I want to read the book. So I'm going to be having my head down like this. Can you guys hear me all right? Tell me in the Jamie's not here. She had to go somewhere. She says she'll be back later. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I need to know if you guys can hear me when I'm looking down like this at the book. We can hear. We can hear. Okay, very good. All right. So I'm going back to the beginning. I haven't read any of the book. I don't even know why it changed. This is why I don't like this fucking Kindle. Pardon my language. This is why I don't like this Kindle. It makes no sense. I didn't even start reading the book and it's already got me at 6%. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. All right. All right. Let me see. Chapter 2. God, can I get to chapter 1 maybe? Maybe we can even get beyond. Unbelievable. Give me a second. I'm sorry. I don't understand. All right. It's like I don't want to touch this damn thing. It's so sensitive. All right. So we're going to start with the introduction. Does he have who it's? Okay. You thought you knew by K-Fed. Kevin Federline. This is smaller. I don't like this one at all. I like the bigger one. The bigger Kindle. All right. Introduction. It doesn't look like this is actually dedicated to anybody. That's kind of weird, isn't it? It was a dark and stormy night. That's right. Okay. If you ask Don McLean, it was a starry, starry night. Okay. Introduction. I've been back and forth on doing this book for years. Thought about it, let it go, picked it back up, jotted down thoughts in my phone more times than I can count. Memories, fragments of what I'd say if I ever really sat down to do it. But I always stopped short. The timing never felt right. My kids were still young, still finding their way through a world that was already heavy on their shoulders. I didn't want to make it heavier. I didn't want to stir shit up when they were the ones who'd feel it most. I didn't want to stir shit up when they were the ones that feel it most. So I waited. So he's always had this idea in his mind, apparently. Now they're older and I'm ready. This is about finally telling my story, my version in my words. He was married to her for how many years? 3. This is your story, your 3-year story. This is about telling my story, my version, in my words, because everybody else has done it for me. Nobody has. No. We don't know what the fuck happened. The media, the blogs, the exes, the strangers, the jokes, the headlines, they all had something to say about me. Well, yeah, you made yourself a spectacle, and I stayed quiet. Did you really, though? I took it. I didn't correct the record. I didn't fight back, not because I agreed, but because I was trying to protect the people I love. I think you were getting paid a lot of money. Oh, I'm glad, Brandy. I'm glad. Trying to give my kids some kind of normal life, trying to avoid adding fuel to the fire. Except for now. But silence didn't bring peace. It left me choking on the words I never said. I've carried this for a long time. And if I'm being real, part of me thought maybe I'd never say anything. Maybe I'd just write it out and let the story be what it was. But as my kids got older, I see it differently. I see that I need more money because I can no longer get child support. Wait a minute, that's not in there. Let me go back to the sentence that was. But as my kids get older, I see it differently. I don't want them growing up feeling like they have to explain who their dad is. I don't want them defending shit they never lived. Well, you don't want your kids to be normal because most kids have to defend something their parents do in time. And yeah, what's normal? They didn't ask for any of this. Most don't. That's me that's saying this stuff. If people want answers, let this book carry them. It's only one side of a story, mate. We're all older now. Even your fans, even the fan base of Britney's is old enough now to know there's three sides to every story. Yours, theirs, and the truth. Because I want my kids to know, he says, their dad told his story, and he told it with the truth. This is how you're going to prove you're a man, by talking about Britney's secrets. This is how you prove you're a man. Wow. And yeah, this is for me too. I'm glad he admitted it. I've carried a lot, stuff I never processed. So I'm going to use the book for it, and I'm going to get paid for it. I'm going to use this as an experiment to see if I feel better, is what he's saying here when he says stuff I never processed. So he's doing it for the first time now. He hasn't slept on it because once this book's released, that's it. Moments I never made peace with. This book has cracked all that open. It's made me look back and see things differently. Some of it hurts, some of it heals, but every word of it is honest. And at this point in my life, that's what matters most. After 2 decades of everyone else telling the world who I am, who wouldn't want to finally tell their own story? Well, he's on the defensive already. The whole world hasn't told anybody who you are. Those stupid jokes, you were a part of them. He was certainly a part of the living off of her, because he got, I don't know how much money for that. I think it was $400,000 for that Super Bowl commercial where he worked at Domino's Pizza or one of the fast food restaurants. It is a money grab for him. I hope his kids see it. The only free cheese is in the rat trap. I love that. And that ain't free. You know that. Okay. Chapter 1. Do you want me to read it in an accent, guys? Hello. Do you want your Kindle or your audio in an accent? What accent should it be? Chapter 1. Becoming a dancer wasn't something I planned. It was something that found me. As a kid, I loved to move. Yeah, I probably had ADD and all that other bullshit. That's me. That's me again. No formal training, no structured lessons, just me and the music. Back in the 80s and 90s, hip hop was taking over, and I fell right into that wave. It was more than just a genre of music, it was a culture that consumed me. When I was 13, I had a girlfriend who danced at a local studio near my house in Fresno. I'd walk over. I'd walk over to see her during breaks or chill with friends working at the Subway next door. That's when I first noticed this group of guys at the dance studio. They weren't your typical dancers doing jazz or ballet. This was something different. It was a crew, 6 or 7 guys, all older than me, maybe 15 or 20 years old. They were doing routines similar to what I'd seen on TV, and I couldn't stop watching. It was so dope, and I wanted in. Eventually, I joined them, and the dance studio became my second home. Okay, so wait a minute. There's a big jump from that paragraph to that paragraph. Eventually, I joined them. Well, he's talking about his life, right? Don't you I'm glad you love the footnotes, man. I'm glad you do, because that's what I'm offering you here. Otherwise, you guys just buy the fucking book. That's what I got. I got me and my comedy. Comedy reading. I hope you enjoy it. Here's the thing, though. Here's where I want you guys to stop. Seriously. Hold the phones. between those two paragraphs. It was so dope, and I wanted in. Eventually, I joined them, and the dance studio became my second home. Well, if he's talking about his life and not just about, Britney, why isn't he talking about how hard he had to work to get into that dance studio or what it took to get into that dance studio? How come he just jumps into it? He didn't just jump into it. I'm sure it took something. Why doesn't he talk about that? That might be something that could inspire people. Yes, no, maybe. Let me see hands in the back. Pixie, Pixie Pix, Pixie, Pixie, come here, Pixie girl, Pixie, Pixie. Guys, those that don't know. It's from my other channel. Seriously, I'm asking. Wouldn't you guys want to know how he got into that? How'd he get his big break? You know what I'm saying, Brandy? Doesn't that make sense? That's right. No one has to buy the damn book. I bought the book. I bought the book and I'm reading it to you with commentary as well as reading it to you from commentary. Commentary with commentary. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. There we go. This is where I have fun, guys. I've laid out some pretty serious videos about Gypsy Rose. The Whitaker shit weighs heavy. I like to mess around. I love to be funny, So if I could do this, this is a win-win for me. You guys like it? And you like the accents too. You'd think there's a bunch of shit going on in my head, huh, Leslie? Well, not as much as yours. Leslie Mergenthal. Leslie Mergenthal, 75. How you doing? There's not that much going on in my head. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the commentary. Otherwise, seriously, you couldn't get him to read you the book, right? Shite! Holy shite! Okay, let's get into it. All right. Okay, eventually I joined them. Well, we can't do him in an accent. I got to do him the way I was doing him. Eventually I joined them. The dance studio became my second home. At the time, it was rare to see an all-male dance group in a studio setting, especially in Fresno. It was groundbreaking. There's nothing about huffing and puffing yourself up, huh? Huh. We entered big competitions in LA and won. This is the shit that he should be talking about to tell his story, to impress people, to inspire people. This is just glazing over a career of background dancing because you know why, guys? I ain't too sure he did it. I'm not too sure he did any kind of real background dancing because wouldn't you brag on that? Wouldn't you puff yourself on that? Shit, I would. I brag about working in a jail, dancing in the kitchen with some inmates. What are you talking about? All right, let's go. We entered big competitions in LA and won every single time. We were something new, something not many people had seen before. I stuck with that crew for a couple of years, but by 15, I got sidetracked. Teenage distractions, street shit. Let me say that again, but let me stop. All this at 15, I ain't buying it. That's it. What's the name of this group? Exactly, M. Bingo. And that was the dog's name, too. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious. Like, that was all bullshit. So that's a crock of shit. Otherwise, you'd get into that. 15 years old, I joined this with 20-year-olds, and this is how I did it. Man, I was so lucky. They took me under the wing. First, something. There's nothing. It's full of shit, Highland Girl 05. I'm going to the Highlands. That's where I want to live. And Highland Girl. I'm joking, guys. I know that song's Island Girl. Come on. Come on, people. Now let's go. Let's go. Stop interrupting me, children. Here we go. I stuck with that crew for a couple of years, but by 15, so he was about 12, 13, because by 15, I got sidetracked with that teenage shit, teenage distraction, street shit. More on that later. By 19, I've been through a lot, but dance never left me. I heard that Dwayne, the guy who led our crew at the dance studio, had started a nonprofit called Dance Empowerment. It was all about bringing kids off the streets and giving them a chance to learn dance through grants, funding. His dance studio was right down the street from my apartment. One day I walked in, and that's when I saw Jimmy Federico again. Jimmy had been dancing at the studio since before I left for years earlier. Well, let me go back and read that because I didn't read that right. Sorry, guys. I hope you're having a good time, but hang on. Jimmy had been dancing at the studio since before I left 4 years earlier. Now, he was a beast. I was blown away by how good he was. Seeing the progress instantly reignited something in me. I thought it never left him. I thought I've wasted time, but I can still get better. I can still be great. Yeah, you're only 19 years old, so you claim, K-Fed. Jimmy became my motivator, my competition, and quickly my best friend. I joined Dance Empowerment and trained like my life depended on it. 2 years. It was all about learning, growing, and perfecting my craft. Jimmy and I became inseparable, pushing each other every day. He was already making moves, signaling with sorry. He was already making moves, signing with an agent after being spotted at a competition in LA. He even landed a spot in Christina Aguilera's first music video, Genie in a Bottle. When he came back from that shoot, he couldn't stop talking about it. The excitement in his voice, the stories he told about the experience, it was infectious. That's when I realized I had to get to LA. Soon after, Jimmy and I made a few trips to LA to take classes from top choreographers. He's ain't going to mention them. He doesn't mention them. He just said top choreographers. The first time we went driving over the grapevine and descending into the city, I had this overwhelming feeling that this is where I'm meant to be. Someone had suggested we take a class with Wade Robson. I heard Michael Jackson had discovered him, so we checked out his class. It was the hardest class I'd ever taken, but at the same time, it was really my style. Oh, but at the same time, it wasn't really my style. Sorry. Guys, you're getting this for free. But don't complain. You're getting this shit for free. I heard Michael Jackson had discovered him, so we checked out his class. It was the hardest class I'd ever taken. But at the same time, it wasn't really my style. Back in Fresno, Jimmy and I were some of the best. In LA, we were small fish in a massive pond. No, man, you were little peanuts. You were little peanuts in a giant elephant farm, man. It was humbling, but it made me hungry. And I was telling you, you're peanuts in an elephant farm, or that'd be later in your life. I didn't say that out loud. Jimmy had met a dancer named Andre Fuentes on one of his trips to Los Angeles. Andre. It's Andre. I watched 90 Day Fiance. I'm sorry, guys. I watched 90 Day Fiance, and that's the way it came out. I guess it could be pronounced Andre, but I think it's Andre. Was already dancing for major artists at the time. And he offered us a place to crash. He only had a one-bedroom apartment, but he was always about helping other dancers. His place was a revolving door of aspiring talent, but he doesn't mention anybody's name. Like there's nobody that can vouch for this guy. You notice that, right? Yeah, it was Andre, but I think it's Andre. Andre. People were crammed into every corner, but we didn't care. We were young, broken, chasing a dream. Man, what was that movie? Misfits? What was that movie? I think it was Misfits, and they certainly weren't, none of them appeared to be anybody like St. Elmo's Fire. There was no successes in this group, it appeared. When we were finally settled, we hit the ground running. I auditioned for every dance agency in town. It was brutal. Open calls with hundreds of dancers from around the world, all fighting for the same spot. Rejection became my daily routine. I'd go back to Andre's apartment, questioning if I had what it took. Then one night, everything changed. I was out at a club, blowing off steam, just dancing like I always did. You see, the difference with the club scene back then, it was a vibe for dancers. There wasn't any bottle service or VIP sections. Yes, there were. There were when I was younger, and I'm older than you. You just didn't go to those type of clubs, boss. That's what happened there. You might end up with them at a later time, but you weren't able to get to them, or you just didn't know they existed because you just didn't know they existed. But they were there. So I call bullshit there. See, this is his truth. Everyone came together, no matter your status, because there wasn't any VIP sections, buddy. That's why. You fed off the energy from the people around you. At times it almost felt tribal. I thrived on it. A man approached me on the dance floor. His name was Brendan Philuk, and he was an agent at DDO, one of the agencies that had rejected me. He told me, I want to represent you. Come to my office tomorrow. I was like, you guys just told me to fuck off the other day. He said he wasn't there and didn't care. The next day, I walked into his office and he offered me a contract. He told me he was leaving DDO to set up his own shop, Block, BLOC agency. At the time, I had no idea that it would go on to become the dance agency representing the biggest names in the industry. All I knew was that someone finally saw something in me. From that point on, everything fell into place. Auditions, bookings, gigs. I was finally doing what I loved, what I was born to do. Dance wasn't just a passion, it was my way out. It was my therapy and my purpose. It saved me from a path that could have led to a much different destination. That's what he says. Dance taught me resilience and how to grow in the face of rejection. It gave me a life I never could have imagined back when I was just a kid watching dancers in a studio. For me, it all began with a little hip hop crew in Fresno and a desire that refused to die. Becoming a professional dancer wasn't something I fully understood when I arrived in LA. It was a whole different world. Auditions were intense. You'd walk in, learn choreography on the spot, then perform sometimes against hundreds of other dancers. How the fuck they see everybody? I've always asked that. How they see everybody? That's me, Toddy, asking that. They weren't looking for someone who'd eventually figure it out. They wanted a machine, someone who could absorb choreography instantly and execute it to perfection. I wasn't quite there yet, so I had to adapt quickly. I have often wondered, I'm just serious. Hey, Red, how you doing? I just want to know, um, and seriously, I I honestly want to know, like, how they do that, like, how they do remember those dance moves so quickly. Like when their first is a full dance set, because those are amazing, right? I've always loved people dancing in unison. Like the Osmonds, that was the first people I ever saw do that, and I loved it. I loved them doing that. Um, so this is an important thing. So hang on just 1 second. I just want to say that's great. Awesome. Thank you for letting me know. Sorry about that. I have a sick friend's husband. She was just letting me know he got out of surgery and he's good. Jamie's here. Um, I didn't know that, Gen X. I didn't know you were a dancer, and I'm sorry, Jamie. You're gonna have to tell me if I need to know anything in the chat because I'm really looking down at a book here. But I've often wondered like how people remember the first dance move to the next dance move to the next dance move. But then I write songs on the guitars, and even though I remember the chords and stuff the first time that I play it, but then again, I play maybe 8 chords at the very most. Usually it's 6 or 4, to be honest with you. I'm not a prolific guitar player, but I get my point across. Anyway, excuse me. So I want to continue reading this. By the way, Jamie turned me on to this Liquid Death mountain water. It is excellente. And Jamie came out with a brand new commercial from Milk, Honey, and Mayhem, guys. All right, let's go. So he says, I wasn't quite there yet, so I had to adapt quickly. Within 2 weeks of moving to LA, I had an agent. 2 days after signing, Brendan got me into a small closed audition with about 20 to 30 guys. They were looking for 4 dancers to join a tour for LFO, a boy band opening for Britney Spears. I wasn't polished enough to stand out in the choreography portion, but auditions often included a freestyle section, and that's where I shined. Freestyling let me connect with the music on a different level, and it showed. Somehow, with a little help from my agent and God, he didn't mention God. I'm going to mention God. He booked the job. The choreographer was Ed Moore, someone I'll never forget. He gave me a ton of guidance in a brief span of time and was incredibly patient while I found my footing. I remember during rehearsals, Ed lined up pennies on the floor that I had to scoot with my feet to help me nail a step I was struggling with. All right, let me read that again. Ed lined up pennies on the floor that I had to scoot with my feet to help me nail a step I was struggling with. I had a few moments like that, rough but expected. Still, the feeling was indescribable. Years of hard work and passion finally paying off. Calling my parents to tell them I was going on the road was a surreal moment. They knew I moved to LA chasing a dream, but hearing that I booked my first gig made it real for them. For me, it was validation. After 2 weeks of rehearsals in LA, I was on a plane to Florida to start rehearsing with the band. I feel bad for you, boy. Florida sucks. I'm from Florida. Got robbed there at gunpoint. It sucks. The tour kicked off in Pensacola. Well, that's the panhandle, man. That's not even Florida. That's some sort of connection from Alabama to Georgia, basically. The tour kicked off in Pensacola. We had about a week to prepare, walking into the arena for the first time, seeing the massive stage and knowing I'd be performing in front of tens, thousands of people was a rush. The adrenaline, anxiety, and excitement hit me all at once. All I could think was, don't screw this up. Don't be the one to mess up on stage. The 4 dancers, Brian Friedman, Make B, Sherman, and I, Make B. Yep, that was his name, Make B. Is that like Make Two? It almost makes it seem like he's taking a shit. Make B. Make the letter B. That's the person. Okay, so it was the 4 dancers, Brian Friedman, Make B, Sherman, and I quickly became a squad. Good thing, because quad is part of the word squad, and there's 4 of you. Brian, you guys, do you love it? You having a good time with me? I'm having a blast. Brian and Make B. Yeah, hey, Make B. Make B. No. Make B. You gotta have you gotta have that little space there. Make B. It's not Make B. No, it's Make B. Okay. I was talking to Pixie about that. Pixie Pix. Come here, Pixie girl. Pixie. All right. Ryan, go lay down. Nobody's supposed to know you're here. You guys loving it? Come on, man. This is comedy. Did you expect to have lunchtime comedy with Toddy One Skip? Be fair. Be fair, guys. His book's $10. Do you want to buy it without me talking? Like, now I'm getting insulted here. His book's $10. Do you want to buy it without me talking? You can buy the Kindle version. It's $10. Jamie, you see that about your commercial? Your new commercial? All right, let's go. Okay. Are you happy with the way I'm reading it? Are you guys liking it? Are you enjoying it? I mean, are you having a good time? All right. I'm going to go. All I can imagine is this group of assholes doing backup for a boy band. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I'm having a good time with it. All right. All right. So the four guys, they let me know I'd be getting the most shit. Wait a minute. Uh okay. The four dancers, Brian, Make, Sherman, and I quickly became a squad. Brian and Make B really showed me the ropes since I was the rookie. They let me know I'd be getting most of the shit. The tour life was brutal but exciting. You lived out of a suitcase, constantly moving planes, buses, arenas. Everything moved fast. There was no room for error. The first performance was unforgettable. The lights, the crowd, energy. It was everything I'd imagined. But the late nights, the early mornings, and the pressure to deliver every time hit hard. Now, guys, I'm seriously, like, I'm having fun with this. But he could have written a whole chapter, to be honest with you, on what the first night would have been, right? Like, well, except Red, it's capital Make space capital B. So that's what it says here. Anyway, don't you think so? He could have talked about how he felt about getting out on stage, what the lights look like, what he could see from the stage, what he focused on. What he doesn't talk about any of that. Like, I'll never forget that the first time I got up on stage, or he never got up on stage, Highland, or it just didn't really happen for him. I would assume that it happened for him, right? Because people could say shit, you know because people could say, no, I don't know what he's talking about, or maybe he was so vague about it that nobody knows what the hell he was talking about. I don't know, or maybe none of these people exist, or maybe some of them died. Who the fuck knows? As we continue to read more, but this is your life. I bet you he goes into every fucking detail about Britney, but like, this is stuff that would matter. That first performance was unforgettable. The lights, the crowd, the energy, it was everything I'd imagine. But the late nights, the early mornings, and the pressure to deliver every time hit hard. And then there were the offstage moments, like the time I stayed out all night with a girl in Pensacola, watching plankton glowing in the surf, only to show up late for the bus the next morning. The tour manager ripped into me, making it clear that being late wasn't an option. Lesson learned. Life on the road with LFO was an experience on and off the stage. They were wild, pulling stunts that were jackass level. It was bizarre, but they were good guys at heart. They had their moments of craziness, but they also lived to perform, and I could relate to that. The bus rides were where the real memories were made. 9 of us dancers, LFO and crew, crammed into one bus. Late night video games, endless conversation, and lots of laughter made the long drives bearable. Tour buses became a second home. Yeah, there's nothing to this book, in my opinion. It doesn't do any kind of deep dives. It's all going to be about Britney. Britney. Hold on, drinking my coffee. As for Britney, we didn't cross paths very much. She was 16 and I was 21. That was a much bigger gap at those ages. We were worlds apart. She didn't even remember me when we connected years later. Most nights after our set, we'd watch some of Britney's performance to show some love to the other dancers, but we rarely stayed for the whole show. If we had to head to the next city, we'd leave early. Otherwise, we'd hit the town always looking for the next party. The first leg lasted 3 months, mostly along the East Coast. From Florida, we worked our way up and eventually made our way back to LA. By the time it ended, I was exhausted but fulfilled. I'd saved almost every penny I earned between per diem and paychecks. I didn't have to spend a dime on the road. Per diem back then was $350 a week, which covered more than enough. On top of that, we were earning $1,500 to $2,000 a week By the end of the run, I realized I was making more money than I had ever had in Fresno. But that first tour was more than just a job. It was an education, an adventure, and the start of a journey I'd never trade anything for. I learned how to perform, but more so, how to survive in a world that demanded resilience and adaptability. From packed arenas to rookie mistakes, every moment proved dreams come true if you're willing to work. Returning to LA felt like a reset. I was ready for the next challenge, but there was uncertainty. LFO's management had planned another leg of the tour, but they were only bringing back 2 dancers. The rest of us didn't know if we'd make the cut. It was nerve-wracking. This was the reality of the industry. You could be on the top one day and back to hustling for gigs the next. What are you guys thinking right now? I want to ask you a question. How we doing? How we doing? That's chapter 1 down. How we doing, guys? I got to crack my head a little bit. Sorry. And I'm reading from a computer screen. Woo! Are you guys into this book? He still is milk. He still is Milk, Honey, and Mayhem. I think most of it is fictional. Did you read it yet, Jen? I mean, Red? Red, did you read it yet? Justin Collars. Kevin just probably was scared of Britney's dad, too. Huh? So you don't want me to read it? He sounds like an exaggerated truth. No, but it's fun to make fun of. No. So you guys don't want to hear it? I won't read it if you don't want. Well, should I continue reading it or should I mean, that's the question. It's not going to hurt my feelings either which way. Edie says yes. Red says yes. Keep going. Read. I'm good with you eating. You good with me reading it? Okay. It's fun with you reading it. Okay. All right. Chapter 2. After chapter 2, though, Lisa says, sure, keep reading. All right, let me get some more water because I finished the can that Jamie, these aren't the big cans, they're 12-ounce cans. I guess I was thinking they were 16-ounce cans, so it's expensive, this water. I'd rather have the 16-ounce cans for $1, not the 12-ounce cans for $1. All right. All right. Let's get to the sex part. Oh, I'm glad. Okay, good. I'm glad that you guys want me to read. Okay. All right, chapter 2. After returning from the LFO tour, I was coming into my own. The grind, the constant auditions, and the whirlwind of experiences had started to shape me. My confidence was building, but there was still the looming question, what's next? Back in LA, my buddy Jimmy, who I'd moved in with, who the fuck is Jimmy, had started booking some solid gigs, including getting ready to go on Mandy Moore's tour. Mandy Moore? Holy fuck. We didn't see each other as much since we were both grinding. That doesn't even sound good, Kevin. But we had the same goal, save enough money to finally get our own place. Well, you guys were grinding. I thought you would like the 1-bedroom apartment we'd been crashing in with 5 people rotating in and out was getting old. Luck, what happened to all the money he had? Didn't he say he made a shitload of money? Where's the money? Where's the show me the money? Luckily, Brian Friedman let me use his place for a while. He and Andre were going out for a final leg of Britney's tour. I guess they were the winners. Andre and Brian got to finish the Britney tour. His place felt more like home. Having my own space was a breath of fresh air after Andre's place. Not that I wasn't grateful, but having an actual room with a door that closed was pure luxury. Just as I was settling into a daily routine, I got called back out for another 2-month stretch with LFO. This time it was smaller club dates. Getting back out on the road gave me a deeper understanding of performing and picking up choreography on the fly. I thought that already happened for you. Why are you repeating shit already? By the time I returned to LA in the summer of 2000, I felt like I was improving, but the hustle of auditions hit me hard. I wasn't quite making it to the final cut for the yes. But the hustle of auditions hit me hard. I wasn't quite making it to the final cuts for big gigs, but I was getting closer. It's getting closer, just a little bit closer. I'm getting closer. I could feel the momentum building. You want me to sing the book? I could feel the momentum building. I asked my agent, Brendan, to list the top choreographers working in the industry so I could figure out who was consistently booking jobs and learn their styles. I began taking classes more strategically, focusing on those same choreographers and analyzing how they moved. Around that time, I booked a small music video gig for one of Rodney Jerkins' artists. Rodney Jerkins's artists. Rodney Jerkinson's artist. I don't know who that is. It wasn't a big payday, maybe $250 a day, but it kept me working. Then out of nowhere, I got a call from Brendan. I'd been booked for Pink's World Tour. Pink! Holy smokes. The craziest part, I didn't even audition. Eddie Morales, one of Pink's dancers, choreographers, and now one of my best friends, had hired me. One of their dancers was leaving for another gig, and Eddie had seen a tape of me somewhere. Maybe a class, maybe a show. To this day, I still don't know exactly how he found me. But what mattered was that I got the job. Don't forget, he just called the guy his best friend. Best friend. Because he got him work. You see how this guy works? You see, that tells you exactly who K-Fed is. Continue on. I loved Pink's music. Off record, I love Pink's music. I love Pink. I love Pink. I really do. I'd like to see her in concert. She's amazing. I loved Pink's music. This was her first album when she was still doing R&B. Tracks like Most Girls and There You Go were massive. Being handpicked without auditioning was mind-blowing. 2 days after wrapping the music video, I was in rehearsals for a worldwide tour. Pink's tour was special. Performing on the world stage was only part of it. It was the people who made it unforgettable. Eddie, Marty Kudeluku, Kudelka. Wait, sorry about. Let me start. Let's go back. It was unforgettable. Eddie, Marty Kudelka, who was Janet Jackson's choreographer at the time and would later become Justin Timberlake's. But I ain't name dropping, just so you know. I put that shit in there. And I became a tight knit crew. So me and the people I just name dropped became a tight knit crew. Everything just clicked. The choreography, the chemistry, the vibe. We worked hard and had fun, smoking weed, gambling on NBA, 2K on the Dreamcast, and hanging on the bus for hours and hours and hours. Pink was different. She was young but grounded. No BS, all business. Most of the time, anyway. While we partied, she stayed disciplined, focusing on her craft, taking care of herself. She felt like one of us, but she had this undeniable star power. I mean, here was this girl younger than me who had it all figured out, and I was just starting to put the pieces together in my life. Watching her navigate her rise to fame was inspirational. This tour gave me so many firsts. My first time traveling internationally, performing outside the US. That's what that means, buddy. Seeing the world. The Australia leg was like stepping onto another planet. I grew up watching National Geographic and always dreamed of going there. It was toward the end of the tour, and we were all jacked to get there. We had a 3-week stretch lined up down under, and the vibe was high. We'd been performing for months together by now and had it down to a science. Before we left, we all met at the Millennial. Wait, before we left, we all met at the Millennium Dance Complex in LA, where the buses would pick us up to shuttle us to LAX. Everyone was doing the last minute checks, and Pink's tour manager Mark Singletary. See, he knows people's names when he wants to know people's names. A massive, intimidating guy with a military background laid down the law. Empty your bags. Make sure you don't have anything stupid on you, he said, his deep voice booming through the studio. Australia doesn't mess around. Don't be the one who gets us all in trouble. We all laughed it off, but I took him seriously. I emptied my bags, triple checked everything, then packed carefully for the trip. The flight to Sydney was brutal. I've never been a fan of flying, and the thought of spending 15 hours over the ocean had my anxiety pumping through the roof. My ritual was simple: drink until I could sleep, or at least pretend to. By the time we landed, I'd probably knocked back a dozen rum and cokes. I was a wreck. When we finally got off the plane in Sydney, I could barely stand. Mark, the tour manager, took one look at me and asked, "Are you okay?" I mumbled something about having one too many drinks and tried to pull myself together, but as we headed toward customs, I knew I wasn't fooling anyone. Walking through customs felt like being funneled through a gauntlet. You either get a straightforward pass through or a detour into a high security inspection area. Of course, they pulled me aside. I was green in the face, reeking of alcohol, and clearly out of sorts. A customs agent directed me to a counter where she ordered me to empty my backpack and pull my drawers down. She didn't tell him to pull his pants down. That was me. She just ordered him, "Empty the backpack," in an Australian accent. "Empty your backpack." As I dumped everything out, my stomach dropped. A gram of weed tumbled onto the counter. I thought he checked the shit 3 times. Come on, man. Like, how do you miss it? I know a gram's a little bit of weed, but I mean, come on, that's a bowl. There it went, rolling out, tumbling like a, what do you want to call those things? A tumbleweed, just tumbling right on the counter. Holy balls. This is fear. There is fear, and then there is shitting yourself in pure terror. I slapped my hand over the weed and leaned up against the counter like I was just casually studying myself. The agent asked if I was okay, and I stammered, "Yeah, I just don't fly well. Had a couple of drinks." I forced a weak smile, trying to sell it. She nodded and started rummaging through my stuff. As soon as she looked away, I fucking slid the gram off the counter onto the floor and nudged it with my foot under the table. I was sweating bullets. There were cops and immigration agents everywhere. All I could think of was, I'm going to jail. I'm going to get fired. I'm fucked. The agent swabbed my bag for explosives. Thank God it wasn't for weed, because that weed was under the counter waiting for a dog. When I saw stems and bits of weed attached to the swab, I thought I was done for. But to my shock, the test came back clean, and she gave me the all clear. I packed my stuff up as fast as I could, trying not to shake, as I slipped my lighter out of my pocket and accidentally dropped it on the ground so that it made a loud enough noise to be heard. Whoops! Then I bent down, grabbed the lighter, grabbed the gram. Ooh, he grabbed his weed too. stuffed everything in my pocket in one smooth motion, and took off. As soon as I was outside, I tossed the weed in the nearest trash can. I don't believe that. When I rejoined the group, Mark was livid. I apologized, knowing I dodged a bullet. After a short flight from Sydney, we landed in Melbourne. It's actually pronounced Melbourne, but it looks like Melbourne. I was still hungover, barely able to function. As we arrived at the hotel, Pink greeted us with a surprise. You got 45 minutes, she said. Shower, change, and meet me at the bar. I dragged myself upstairs and spent most of those 45 minutes lying on the shower floor, trying to pull myself together. When I made it back down, Pink had, Pink had lined up 10 shots of Jaeger at the bar. Drink, she said. We each took 2 shots and piled into a van. After a 2-hour drive into the middle of nowhere, we arrived by a fucking kangaroo. We arrived at a ranch. Pink had arranged a full day horseback safari for us. As soon as you guys landed, like, really? After a long ass flight like that? No. We spent hours riding through the jungle on the back of these fucking horsebacks, elephants, camels, giraffes. Shit. That's me, guys. That's in my head. We spent hours riding through the jungle, taking in the breathtaking wildlife and scenery. It was unreal because I was higher than a kite and drunker than anything. Straight out of the National Geographic specials I used to watch as a kid. We saw black cockatoos, which I didn't even know existed, huge monitor lizards, koalas, kangaroos, and more. By the end of it, after kicking my hangover, what'd you kick it with? I felt like a new person. Now I wanted to be a safari man. Not really, I'm just saying that. The safari was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. So much so I wanted to take my kids there later. Well, nope, probably not. Not for Eddie, though. Eddie found out about an hour or two into the jungle that he was allergic to horses. Oh, shit, poor Eddie. Little by little, he started to itch, scratch, go here, go there. Halfway through the ride, we had to stop because his face was swelling up. You see, Eddie was from Brooklyn, New York. They don't have horses there. Ah, bullshit. Yes, they do. They take people for rides on carriages. Don't be that way. And they have cops on them as well. You see, Eddie was from Brooklyn, New York. The only horses he'd ever seen were the kind cops rode for crowd control. That's right. This was his first time riding one. All of us were pretty concerned for him as he turned blue in the face, green in the mouth, red in the stomach, and yellow in the feet. That's me, guys. He's not that imaginative. That's me mentioning that. He stops at all of us were pretty concerned for him, but there was only one way out. He had to sit on that horse the entire ride before getting any meds. Wow, I bet you they changed that. By the time we got back, his face looked like a chipmunk. Marty and I were dying laughing at him once we realized he was going to be okay. I think they were laughing at him the whole time. I think the thought of him not being okay didn't even enter their minds. Our shows generated a massive amount of attention. Well, one of you guys looked like a fucking chipmunk. What do you want? At every stop, other dancers and artists would watch from the side of the stage. Even at radio-sponsored festivals with dozens of acts performing, our set stood out. We didn't have flashy props or elaborate staging. Well, she sure does later in life. That was her first stage thing. So now she gets up and like does these acrobats in the air, these acrobatics in the air. And her kid gets up on stage too. You weren't part of that. You were just the first act, buddy. We didn't have flashy props or loud. He's bitching. It was all about raw talent, energy, and connection with the audience. The industry took notice, man. They did. They poked their heads up, looked back and forth, and said, "Whoa, look at K-Fed." No, they didn't. That's in your head. By the end of the tour in early 20, by the end of the tour in early 2001, I knew I had grown immensely. Didn't he already say this shit? I knew I had grown immensely as a dancer and performer. That was the moment I realized I could thrive in the music industry. The connections, lessons, experiences from that tour laid the foundation for everything to follow. I swore he just used these words in the last In the last chapter, Pink's leadership and down to earth vibe kept us grounded. She made sure we worked hard, but also that we enjoyed the ride. That tour was a pivotal chapter in my life, one that solidified my love for dance and gave me the confidence to keep pushing forward. I promise you, I think I read these words in the last paragraph. Didn't I read these words before? I'm asking you guys. Like, I'm really asking. Didn't weren't these things in the same paragraph? And are you guys alive? Like, there's only 13 of you. But serious, didn't I just read this in the first paragraph? Okay, so you guys are just playing with each other. I feel like I'm repeating myself. I'm not lying. Okay. Um Touring with Pink proved to be a gateway. The experience opened countless doors for me and met me in ways I could have never imagined. So many iconic choreographers and dancers were involved in that project. It was like a creative melting pot that drew anyone's attention in the dance community. Over those 8 months, we showcased something special. By the time I returned to LA, I was operating at a whole new level, walking into auditions with confidence, consistently making it to the final rounds, and eventually getting booked without even having to audition. At the heart of this momentum was the rapport I had built with choreographers, dancers, and agents in the community. I'm a good ass kisser. What can I tell you? They began to see me as yeah. They began to see me as someone solid, someone dependable, somebody who's there for the paycheck, somebody who's there for the women, somebody who's there who's going to leave women for other women. During that time, my relationship with my best friend Jimmy was evolved. Watching Jimmy thrive sparked a competitive fire in me. I don't know if Jimmy ever saw it that way, but by the time I returned from Pink's tour, I felt like I had stepped out of his shadow. The friendly rivalry had pushed me to grow into the best version of myself as a dancer. And now I wasn't just competing, I was eating. In the entertainment industry, good work gets you more work. That was the reality I was living. Choreographers I worked with knew I would show up, get the job done, and be easy to work with. Word spread on the heels of the Pink tour. My career expanded into music videos, TV shows, commercials, and award shows. I danced in Destiny's Child Survivor music video and performed with them at the Grammys and Soul Train Awards. I landed gigs on the Drew Carey show and even did a Target commercial in Toronto. Well, wow. So that went from the high road to a Target commercial in Canada. Okay. None of it felt like work. I was doing something I loved and making good money doing it. Every gig felt like a stepping stone, a new adventure. For a kid from Fresno, this was my NBA or NFL, a dream come true. I remember once taking my mom to a Janet Jackson concert in Fresno. I was 19. We were in the nosebleeds with binoculars, and I told her, "That's going to be me one day. Yeah, that little ant down there, mama. That's me. I'm going to be right there on that stage." She just smiled and said, "Yeah, right. Okay, Kevin." Few years later, I was living in LA, dancing for major artists and making more money than my parents ever expected. My mom never let me forget how I'd spoken into that existence. Yeah, it was all because you spoke it. By 2001, my career had hit its stride. I'd worked with Aaliyah, I can't pronounce that person's name, Genu Wine, Destiny's Child, Pink, No Doubt, and many others. Everything was working out. For years, Jimmy and I had hopped. Oop, for years, Jimmy and I had hoped to get out on the road together. And when we finally both booked Christina Millions Tour, is that her name? Millions Tour. We were so hyped, but life had other plans. Life is what happens to you while you're busy making other plans. Weeks before rehearsals, I auditioned for Michael Jackson's You Rock My World music video. The process was intense, and for the last spot, it came down to me and my boy Marty Kadelka, sorry, Marty Kadelka, who was Janet Jackson's choreographer. Yes, I remember that. When neither of us got a call back, I assumed the job was canceled. The weekend of Christine Miliana's tour, I got a call from Flea, one of Michael's choreographers. He told me to clean up and meet him at the Universal Studios backlot immediately. I had no idea what was waiting for me. Woo! Guys, I have 10 people in here. Do you want me to continue on? We're still in chapter 2. Milo, what are you doing, Bubba? Milo's enjoying the read or something. I don't know. He's like in there, like itching his back a little bit. He's playing those mind games. Okay. When I arrived, the massive sound stage was nearly empty, just a row of mirrors, a sound system, and the four choreographers working for MJ. That'd be Michael Jackson at the time. Richmond and Tone Taluga, the the Simone brothers, Simone brothers, who'd been with MJ since they were teenagers. Flea, who was a choreographer for Usher and a friend of mine, and Michael Rooney, who hired me for the Target commercial. The crew handed me a release form to sign and then told me I was about to hear the track. They wanted me to freestyle. The pressure was unreal. They played You Rock My World, and I did my thing. I left not knowing if I'd nailed it or blown it. A few hours later, my phone rang. I had booked the gig. The excitement was overwhelming, but it came with a heavy choice. I was thrilled to work. You get what he said there. I was thrilled to work with Michael Jackson, but it meant giving up the Christina Millions tour and the chance to tour the world with Jimmy and make good money doing it. It was an easy choice to make, though. Working with MJ was a once in a lifetime opportunity. I went back to Christina's rehearsals the next day and broke the news. They were disappointed, but they understood. I knew this was a chance to be part of something, a true icon and legend. Milo, you gotta stop. What we didn't know at the time was that this would be Michael's last album. Oh. Sorry about that. Michael's last album. Walking into the rehearsals felt surreal. I had been on major world tours, but this was like starting from square one. Milo, you can't do that. Go lay down now. Uh, hold on. Starting from, I was so nervous it felt like my first gig all over again. Because as a dancer, as a performer, this was the biggest stage you could ever stand on. The whole video had this Cuban smooth criminal vibe, like he never fully got out of that phase. But it's Michael. He could do whatever the hell he wanted when it came to his craft. For the first week and a half, he didn't even show up to rehearse. We just drilled the choreographer over and over and over and over until we had it down. Then one day, the energy in the room shifted. The air grew still. Everyone went quiet. You could feel Michael's presence before he even stepped foot into the room. He was like a snake, a lizard, an iguana, a spider. That's all me mentioning all those animals. He just stepped into the room, a very surreal feeling. Wearing sunglasses and moving with almost ethereal grace, Milo, he waved. Okay, hang on. Hang on. He waved at us. He waved at us, set a chair in front of the mirror, sat down, and said, "Run it." We started dancing in the streets. He stopped us almost immediately and said, "No music, run it with the click track." I didn't understand why until later. Michael didn't just see the music, he felt it. With the click track, he could hear everything, the rhythm, the timing, and even the tiniest misstep. So we start again, and he's sitting in his chair, sunglasses on, but you could still see he had his eyes closed. Maybe he was sleeping on the job. And I was off by one beat. This motherfucker opens his eyes and looks right at me. He could tell that it was me who was off, even with his eyes closed. He knew exactly where it came from, exactly who it was. My stomach hit my throat and I felt exposed. Then he stops everything and says, all right, let's run it. All right, let's run it again. Calm down. That was it. He knew it was my first time working with him. Knew I was nervous. He wasn't mad, just precise. Michael didn't chase perfection for the sake of it. Every detail was a way to connect, make the audience feel something real. Michael shot the video like a movie. We had 2 weeks of rehearsals and then 8 days of actual shooting. He was meticulous to a fault, but also playful and charismatic. Michael and his choreographers taught me to view dance as more than just movement. For him, dance was an emotion, form of expression that transcended words. That's what dance is, buddy. If you didn't know that until now, what the fuck were you doing? He instilled that perspective in all of us. Dancing behind him meant more than hitting the steps. It was about connecting with the music and tapping into something bigger than all of us, something that when seen or practiced can move people to their core. To me, this was his magic, being able to tap into something spiritually unexplainable, the same way ancient tribes would dance around a bonfire connecting to a different level of consciousness. Michael learned how to do this at will and was absolutely surgical with it. It was his superpower, the reason he stood out above all the rest. Of course, this was all before all the allegations against him came out, but at the time, as a young dancer trying to make it, the experience was another sign that I was right where I was meant to be. And that's chapter 2, folks. What are you thinking? My eyes hurt. That's what he says, Kung Fu Panda. That's what he says. Do you believe him? Do you believe him? All right. I don't know, guys. Mm-mm. I do have some personal stuff that I need to get to today. Should we continue on with this or no? It's up to you guys. It's up to you guys, you know. I mean, ultimately we'll get to the Britney stuff, but okay, so that's a no from Jamie. You guys decide and let me know. You can let me know in the comments. My finger hurts. Ah. Kathleen says yes. I agree. I agree. I agree. So nope. So nope. So yes, it's okay. So oh my gosh. Red, yes, blue, no. Pixie! Pixie. She was great. What's your mama say, Pixie? Pixie, Pix. Pixie was sick. Did you guys see that? Oh, Jamie, that doesn't even sound good. Oh, okay. We'll see about that. Should I get my shampoo bottle? All right, guys, listen. It was fun, fun, fun. I want to read it only if you guys are enjoying it. I don't want to read a phone book. It's just if it's information because here's the thing. There's more to it. Look at his he didn't talk about struggling and trying to there's nothing about his life. He's just waiting to get to the Britney part. You know what I mean? He doesn't talk about sacrificing. I mean, when I was a writer, I sacrificed everything. My friends will tell you, man, they wouldn't see me a lot of times. They'd be worried about my ass because I'd be stuck in there over a keyboard writing. So I want to make it entertaining. Let me entertain you. All right, guys. Well, Maybe we'll do it. It's good to get both sides. It is. It is good to get all sides. Not there's more than two sides of a story. All right, guys. Well, I do have stuff that I really need to do. If we weren't enjoying this, we wouldn't be here. I feel you. I feel you. I just want to make sure that I'm talking about a topic you guys have an interest in. I don't know if you have an interest in. It's more about Britney, isn't it? And what happened with her children, isn't it? So it's on you guys. So anyway, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah. All right, guys. So, all right. I'll see you on the next one. We'll see what's going on with the Whitakers today. If we can find anything out, I'll let you know. Guys, I'm gonna call it. Say thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me be a part of your day. We just finished chapters 1 and 2 of what's the name? But thought you knew. What is it? Thought you knew something? I don't know. Guys, have a good one. I'll see you on the next one. Be good, be kind. Don't let that be your story.